Okay, everybody, welcome back to Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter. Guys, tonight we got an interesting show, as all of them here lately. We got a special guest on us with us tonight, Mr. Martin Vila, who is currently attempting to reconnect everybody. But we're going to have him on, and we're going to talk about the hottest topic right now in tournament bass fishing, and that is dual thread. Um, Guys, what a shit show it has been. Um, but we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that. But we brought Vila on because Vila actually fished the first two events. So we're gonna see. We're gonna talk to him in a second, but we're gonna see what the heck's going on with his network connection. Before we do that, let's go around the room real quick. Thomas, what's happening in your world, boss man? We missed you last week, by the way. So glad to have you back this week.
Living the dream, just pumping out the content as the usual. Glad everyone had a good week last week as we're getting closer and closer to the Bassmaster Classic.
Yes, we are. Holy cow. What are we, like 3 weeks away from the Classic?
Yeah, about
less
3
than a
weeks.
month. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Dang. Yeah, I'm really excited, ready to go. I got everything ready. Danielle got the hotel room booked. All I gotta do is throw enough laundry in a bag for a week, and we are ready to roll to Knoxville, Tennessee, to hang out with a Bass Geek for a couple of days. I had a message that's pretty cool. I haven't spoken to a friend of mine who lived up on Lake Anna, and I used to spend a lot of time on Lake Anna, and he's moving to Tennessee. So he told me that he will be at the Classic this year, and I think his cousin's coming up from North Carolina. So they're going to meet in Tennessee for the event. So it's going to be really cool to hook up my boy Shane. So happy about that. So, but
Tennessee's he moving to?
I would actually have to look that up, to be honest, Geek. That's a great freaking question.
Well, if he's fishing Lake Anna, he's going to be sorely disappointed no matter where he moves in Tennessee. maybe Chick. Other than that, really.
He's actually moved. So Shane's moving to Gainesboro, Tennessee.
I don't know where that's at.
I don't know where it is either. Yep. So he's moving up there. His cousin's coming up and from North Carolina, and they're going to be at the Classic, and we get to see each other. And it's been about 10 years. So it's really freaking cool. His daughters were involved in that rodeo competition. Dude, you talking about a rig. I didn't know there's this much money in this thing, but they had a rig that had, you guys want to think about bass boats? This wasn't shit. This was a rig that held 2 horses and sleeping quarters. Yeah.
For the horses or for just everybody?
Everybody. I mean, Thomas probably knows about this stuff. I mean, that stuff people dream about right here. I don't know how much one of them costs, Thomas. So you probably know because you're in the
180,000.
God.
Yep.
No.
So close to a bass boat.
Yeah, close to a bass boat.
Horses, bass boats can't hold a candle to equestrian.
No, I'm in ranch country up here, so I know all about the horse trailers and rodeos take place all over, and I know how much money they drop. And it's a lot.
I used to shovel shiz for my cousin to make money to buy.
Hey, no wrong with that.
Out of they raised Belgian horses, so
wow. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, there's nothing wrong with shoveling a little shizzle every now and again. Yeah. So, all right, Geek, what's going on in your world, boss man?
Man, the same old. We banging and slinging, talking about new baits, talking about still pretty much winter time for us. I mean, water temps in the 40s. I mean, they probably reached 45 this week. All right, so they're still, for the most part, about 35 feet deep. So,
wow.
It's we're just talking about different things. It's getting to be the heart and soul of these smallmouth with the minnow bait right now as they fire up and start feeding up. So we're talking about that a little bit here and there.
So for you guys who didn't, I was gonna look it up real quick. Did you guys see the 29-pound bag on Smith Mountain Lake?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're talking about a giant freaking bag. Like I said, if you haven't been over to the basscast.com lately and checked it out, huge bag there. Will Crochet, Croteau. I'm gonna dice it. And Travis Cox had 28.6 pounds. Chad Green had a 9-pounder. We've had him on the show many times. There was another one right behind it, about 8 pounds. Holy cow. The bite is on, and the water temperature was about the same on Smith Mountain Lake. I saw around 40 to 45 degrees last Sunday for their first cat event. So congratulations to them. And by the way, guys, thank you all for checking out the basscast.com. And one of the Angler's Choice sponsored anglers had a great finish on Norman. Caden Buckman. Great win. I think it wasn't a whole lot of freaking weight, but hey, wait a second. I'll take that back. He had 19.8. So congratulations to him, taking home $3,000 on Norman. So a good weekend for a lot of local anglers.
Oh yeah. Did you hear little Birdie from Santee? We got the coming up. We spoke to him last week.
Yes.
Wait, Martin, can I say anything? I'm just going to talk about weights. Are you fishing the tackle warehouse?
No, you don't have to worry about me.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about me. No.
You were fishing the So
Yes.
I just didn't want to get you in any trouble. But a little Birdie told me they had a tournament down there.
No. You're good.
39 pounds to win on Santee. 28 would not cash a check.
Wow. Well, it took 21 pounds to get a check on Smith. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
So that tackle warehouse ought to be real interesting.
Well, it'll be over with by the time it drops, but it's going to be, hopefully we see some giant weights and some nice looking bags. And you guys always know you can check out the results on the basscast.com. All right, we're going to turn it over to Trever real quick. Trevor's going to do a recap. So I kind of threw him on a spot tonight, guys. I want to apologize to him right out because it has been a crazy week. But he's going to do a quick recap of the Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing. And we're going to let him have the stage. And then we're going to talk to Martin Vila about probably the biggest Ponzi scheme in all of bass fishing. The biggest. Guys, I wish I could make $200K. This is alleged, by the way, off of one tournament and run away with people's money. I mean, I ain't made close to. If I'd have made 25 to 30K doing this thing in 15 years, I'd be happy. But wow. So Trever, stage is all yours.
All right. So one is, it's okay if last minute. I'm a teacher, so we're always last minute having to pivot, do things when we're not ready. So we're good to go. Took me a few minutes to get together, but all right. So again, this is dropping. So we're about 2 weeks removed from the Bassmaster Elite Series that took place on Lake Martin. And if you guys caught the action, they were catching bass like crazy. The problem was they were all spotted bass and they only weighed about 1 to 2 pounds.
Yes.
And the cut line to go into Saturday, it was interesting. If you looked at where the cut was at number 50 and last place, the difference in weight was 4 pounds. 4 pounds from 50th to last. So that was pretty nuts. So if you're looking at fantasy fishing, I did not fare too well. I've been sucking it up. My highest place finisher went to Kyle Welcher. He got 23rd, and then Patty Walters got 26. So I've done better. So, but as far as the Basscast 26 group page goes, if you guys aren't in it, you still got time to jump in. You might win some of these weekly ones. So last week, Mr. Bassin 2002 M. Hayes walked away with 1,292 points. So he did pretty well. And sitting in first place is still last week's winner, which is 08 Bass Cat B-Ball. He actually didn't have a bad tournament either. He finished with 1,232 points. So he's rolling. He's going to be hard to catch. I don't know. I'm like sitting like down in 39th place. So, I'm way down at the bottom. So again, I went with mostly scopers and they some of them did good, and then some of them I just didn't have Fisher Anaya in my bingo card. But Drain the Lake, I did a lot better. I at least put Emil Wagner on my Drain the Lake, and he got third. So saving him for another tournament as we get through. So, but that's it. And the next fantasy fishing that we're going to have is going to be the Classic, which we've been talking about, which is coming up really, really quick. So make sure you get your picks in. And for that one, it's going to be interesting with the weather that we've had and everything else going to the Classic. So we'll see if Gussie can find that magical juice again, like he found last time we were there. So,
yeah, like I said, we're about 3 weeks out of the Classic. I'm heading down on a Wednesday. We're going to stay through Sunday, so excited to get to see a lot of different people. But yeah, let's see what the weather holds. We have, for you guys, around here, we had a little bout of spring, the mid 60s here, and then next week is supposed to go back to chance of snow Sunday night, and then back into the 40 highs on next week. So
yeah,
we will
call
see
that
what
the
the
false
heck
spring.
happens. Yeah, got a little bit. Vila, I want to turn your video off, and I want to see if that will just let you just talk to the microphone. That might help your signal a lot better. We all know what you look like.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, so here we go.
Good.
There it goes. It goes. Now we got him. All right. So for you guys who haven't heard the news, Dual Threat, biggest Ponzi scheme of all bass tournament series, got some of the biggest names attached to it. I mean, we're talking about Scott Martin. I watched his video the other morning. I think it was Monday morning he dropped his video.
Yeah, I watched it too. Yeah.
Yeah, they helped this tournament series out a whole lot. Liked the idea. At first it was an entry fee, and a lot of people paid the entry fee. A lot of people paid the deposits. But then the second, I think they decided a little bit later that it would be a non-entry fee event. Somehow there's supposed to magically been a backer. This is all alleged, by the way. So there's supposed to have been a backer to help pay, out the winnings. And a lot of people were promised money. Me and Vila got to catch up at the Augusta Fishing Expo a couple weeks ago. And, we're still hopeful that he would get paid. And on top of getting paid, the next event that they were going to have, the third stop, it's supposed to have been bigger and better. They were going to have TV live. The dude promised a whole lot, and he didn't deliver on anything. Had an alias name, by the way. Didn't even use his own name. Yeah, didn't even use his own name. So I mean, he
Yeah, I mean that might have been the problem.
But the crazy thing was, no one knows that. I mean, here's my thing. We're gonna turn it over to you, Vila, and let you tell your story about it. But okay, I think I'm hearing a car. But my thing,
I think there's a semi going by his place.
Yeah.
Okay, so my whole thing
Yeah,
about
that's what it was. I was moving locations.
Oh, okay, so my whole entire thing about this was supposed to have been a major tournament series with some of the best anglers in the world, and he had no weighmaster in place. He had no board in place. He had none of that. He was weighing his own fish for the tournament series that he was paying out. I don't know. Even I, with the basscast.com, for you guys to fish with us, which thank you very much. We have Danielle doing the books. She writes all checks. I don't handle any of that. I take the photos, and I have 2 guys that help weigh the fish. And we might have 25 to boats, but I don't want anybody ever coming back on us saying, hey, if there was a question or anything, we got a little team. It's just 4 of us involved, but we got a little team involved that, can help make that decision if there was an issue. So, but Vila, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, like I said, we signed up.
Can you
Vila
hear me?
signed up. Yep, we got you. Vila signed up 2 events. What was your whole thing? What was your whole take going into this? And how, I kind of felt that after 2 that you were still pretty excited and still had no clue. Did you have any instinct that this thing might not be real or could be real?
Yeah, there was a couple of moments throughout the 2 weeks. Everybody that got there was kind of wondering. Is like, do you guys know this guy? And nobody knew him, but it was kind of like the movie Field of Dreams. If you pay it, we will come. And it's something that it sounded really good. He talked a big talk, and we were all questioning whether the money was there, but we got there, and a couple of the competitors said that he wrote them, checks for their entry fees back. So we're like, whoa, you've paid, 30 grand and you're getting your money back. And it's like, well, I guess there must be some money here. And we didn't have any reason to not believe them. And so we all fished it. It definitely seemed like there was some growing pains, but honestly, we didn't care as long as the money was good. And so it got better each day. We started knowing what our weights were, and we all didn't have any reason not to believe them. And then it seemed like the reason for us not to be able to cut our checks or pay or cash our checks kind of kept changing. And it seemed like there started to be different excuses to kind of kick the can down the road. But we were already there, and was like, well, let's go fish the St. John's. And, he showed up and ran a better tournament at the St. John's. And so, we didn't really have any reason to not believe him. And, we were led to believe that he was the count was locked and that he was going to open it up by some date. And, driving home, it kind of, I didn't have any skin in the game other than travel and, traveling expenses essentially.
Yeah.
And plus, anytime you get to fish Ron Nelson in Florida for 2 weeks, people pay 10 times what I paid to go do that. And we had a good time. And it seemed that things were going good. There was a bit dwindling or a dropping Bitcoin there available.
Oh my
But
God.
the further away from the St. John, it seemed very clear that there was something wrong, and who really knows what happened. It's kind of scary because if this really was potentially a scam of kind of national proportion, he has there's a lot of personal information out there, and a lot of people kind of wonder what happened. It seems like the lengths that he went to make everything happen. I mean, my understanding, there was even permits pulled beyond. It didn't seem like it was the classic "I gotcha."
Right.
So it makes me wonder if there was actually a backer there, or it could have been, and all we can do is guess. So I don't want to waste too much time guessing, and hopefully he'll be able to answer these questions. I know that I went down there and won me some Monopoly money, but I didn't spend $30,000 in entry fees to do this, and so I really feel bad for the people who paid in. And like I said, I got to go fish Florida for 2 weeks with Ron, and saw some of the biggest bass in my life. So I'm not expecting to get that money back. You kind of know once you kind of know when you're going 70 miles. So, but hopefully, whatever the issues are, and they catch this guy, or things get explained, and maybe some right can be made of it. But there's like I said again, I didn't pay any money to get in this thing. It was kind of like investing in a .com company that was worth 20 cents a share. That who knows, and
But
it's one thing I've noticed is that there's been a group of anglers that have kind of come together, hashed out everybody's little problems. We kind of all guessed at what happened, but honestly, there seems like to me that there's been a little bit. It's kind of united a group of anglers to a point where there's something possibly coming in the works in the rather near future.
So,
and it seems that there's a will to try to continue this thing.
So Scott mentioned something about that in his video that
Can you
he
hear me?
dropped on Monday. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
But Scott mentioned something like that on his video on Monday.
Yes.
My whole
Yeah.
thing is,
So I mean,
Go
the
ahead.
details are
It's such a delay.
vague right now, and there's a lot of wishful thinking there. But I know there's been a few very important phone calls made, and so it seems that where there may be a will, there may be a way. As far as the dual threat thing, I noticed that the website was taken down yesterday, I believe, or it was yesterday or today. Yeah, it was yesterday, I think.
Okay.
And that's obviously no longer going to exist. Hopefully there's a reasonable explanation for all of it, and that things can be made right about it. But it's not looking too good right now.
I understand the putting together another league or putting something else together, but a lot of people dedicated their time to this you could have fished another tournament trail. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But a lot of you guys say, hey, I'm going to fish dual threat because it is no entry fee and I got a chance taking home money. But that now there is no dual threat whatsoever. You can't sign up for the NPFL, I guess, because their field's already set. Tackle Warehouse is already set. I mean, besides fishing a BFL, local little BFL, or you could fish a open, that's pretty much all that is left, to be honest, besides some small things. So that was, I guess, kind of one of my things about the whole thing was time was taken away when you could have been fishing another trail. And I think we lost him again.
All right. No.
Okay.
I'm here. No.
Go ahead. So my whole thing about Avila was a lot of time was taken away when you could have been fishing another trail.
Absolutely. I made some decisions. I had lost a sponsor, not because it was they had a little personal issue between the owners, and so it was something that I was going to have to step away with for a year or two anyway. So it kind of came right at the same time as this thing appeared. So I backed out of the NPFL to get to fish this because it collided on top of me losing my dominant sponsor. So it was like the perfect thing, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I lost several $1,000s in sponsorship right at the same moment. It was kind of within a week of the invite. So it was like I took a chance with it, and it cost me. But man, it was not anybody else's fault other than something happened, and so I took a shot at it. I live with my decision, and I had a great time doing it too, and learned a lot fishing with Ron and vice versa. And honestly, it kind of made a lot of the bass fans and make me realize that it seems like there's a room for some type of trail like this. So I think what we learned through this whole thing is that there's an urge for this. And I mean, I grew up fishing team tournaments. Most of America has. And if there's any way that something like this can come about, something good can come out of this, I think there will be. And, we'll see here in the near future if there's something more to be had with this. We will obviously.
Well, I hate silence.
One of the fish make sure those guys were from Bassmaster. I don't follow Bassmaster as much as I do the other side. Can you hear me again?
Yep.
I'm back. Yo,
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. But hey man, it was a field full of hammers, and I don't think you've seen the last of that field even in 2026. I'll say it.
Let's go back to the event though. Do you think they're gonna find the dude? Do you think there's I know they're looking
really hope
pretty
so.
daggone hard.
I really hope so. I mean, he's got a lot of personal information. Hopefully, there's something easily more explainable than it's kind of like a mystery as to like all the steps that they went through to make this happen. It seemed like what if honestly it could have been somebody there to back this whole thing, and that they realized that this person was not who he says he was. Anybody who's willing to give out a 7-digit check is going to look into who they're writing it to, and so it really could have come down to something like that. But I just some of the things he did, it didn't seem like to me. It was like just I got you. You could have got us and not went through those lengths.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, lessons learned. Fool me once or fool me twice in a row, and then.
I mean, it does seem
but
like
I'm not typically mad. Hey,
it does seem like a lot to have to go through, especially if, like you said, he got some of the permits. I don't know what the weigh-in area stage look like, but it does seem like a lot to go through to and then not even take how many anglers or how many teams do you think actually paid, and then how many come on board after the fact when they announced that it was. If I was gonna take everybody's money, I would have took everybody's money.
Make sure I got everybody's money.
I would have used it to okay, now we'll do no entry fee. So that just seems like an odd.
And I mean, talking to him, he seemed like he was a pretty knowledgeable bass fisherman. So even people who have everybody's got a little something in their past, more so than others, but he might have actually been trying to do something, positive, and just past caught up with him. I don't really know. It's all hearsay, and I just hope everybody gets. I hope the people that got paid in get their money back before. I'm not expecting. I mean, maybe you can pay me back in pesos, but I'm not expecting. I'm not expecting compensation back. Who knows? I mean, I think the contract there was still like 30 days he had to pay. You never say never. And I mean, this is all allegedly, I talked to him several times. But it seemed like everything was kind of changing. The story changed too much, so it's kind of bad. I mean, and it seems like it's what everybody's talking about in the industry. So, and maybe a good thing come from it. I think there is going to be in the near future too.
It helped. So, guys, it really did. We haven't talked about forward-facing sonar yet. I mean, we've had something else to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it really did. It took, I mean, I know people were complaining about last week's. I mean, if I remember correctly, guys, that Bassmaster Elite event from last week, in the top 10, I want to say there was 3 EQ qualifiers. I want to say, Trevor, you might be able to look it up real quick.
I'll look it up real quick. Yeah.
But I mean, we had some young guns
at Martin.
Yeah, in last week's event.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, it was 3 young guns in that thing. And I mean, spotted bass, I mean, like you said, I mean, you catch a ton of them. I mean, I kind of compared it from going the first event from Smith Mount Lake going down to Lake Gaston. I mean, because that's a big spotted bass, right below Bugs Island. It was a big spotted bass lake. So, I mean, it's, those who are good with their electronics can catch them. And that's, you had to have the one largemouth or that one lunker to make it into the top 10 for the final day.
So, yeah, looking at the top 10, you had Fisher
they
and
would have caught
Naya
bigger bags
and
to
Pake South.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, you had two. You had Fisher and Naya and Pake South were the 2 in the top 10. But if you're looking at, the forward-facing sonar field, you had Emil Wagner, Easton Fothergill, Joey Cifuentes, Robert G., who was known for, being good with it, Cody Meyer, and Caleb Hubson. The only 2 that stand out that you can be like, they probably weren't, was Brock Mosley, who finished second, there was a lot of times he didn't have his turned on. And then either Joey Cifuentes and Chris Aldane, who've been there a long time, but both of those guys are good with technology too. So
it was really freaking good to see Chris Aldane finally after probably how many years of drought, finally cashed a check. I mean, he's made zero money because like there's a video out there now. Someone threw out a video a week ago about whole tournament fishing deal, but it was just finally great to see Chris Zaldain right there on the top. To be honest, because he
I
definitely
like seeing
needed
him on that. I like seeing him on that last day. He was throwing the big old glide bait, looking for those big old largemouths up on certain points. He was like, you know what? I'm swinging for the fences. So why not?
fish. You can't finish any less than 10th place, so go for it.
Yep.
Especially in a body of water like that. So
Maybe not the body of water to throw a big glide bait. Just saying.
yeah.
I agree.
I mean,
What was big fish of that tournament?
6 pounder or 7, something like that.
Was there?
Yeah.
Was there a big one?
I want to say it was. I think Iconelli had it at one time. I want to say. Yeah, Iconelli.
Now he was using his live scope, throwing the soft plastic. I think he was throwing. What is it? His. It's not the mega bass, but his swim bait.
Oh, that Berkeley thing.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was the Berkeley. So who's the other one? Who's the? Don't he work? I don't even know if his company's still around. They did make like tackle boxes and stuff.
Plano?
Oh,
no.
This is a fun game.
I cannot.
The Cole Show.
I love it.
So that I know they might not be in business anymore. I know it seemed like they got in bed with the Googans and all that, so that might have went the way of,
I know he's still doing. I know he's still doing a bunch of missile baits, so I know he's got the Ike jig and all like that from missile. So, but I definitely don't know about the rest of it. I mean, if you guys saw him, Iconelli was wearing the old school Toyota hat up on top of his head this past weekend. Guys, he will be giving it away next week with the other 50 hats he gives away. So you guys stay tuned. Wait till the end of the year. He'll be giving those away. I would like to have one of the old school hats, to be honest. But, well, did Trever, were you able to find the lunker or not? It's no big deal.
I'm still looking. They dig it. They buried it deep. So,
what event?
There's a few that caught some, 4 and 5 pounders, but I'm trying to see if the biggest one they haven't. It doesn't pop right up.
Yeah, I want to say I think 6 or 7 pounds was like the biggest one overall for the weekend. So
it definitely seemed like 3 pounders were still big though. It was definitely a 3 pounder was gold.
Bass Mafia, the Zao Dangerous.
Okay, the Zao Dangerous. There you go.
Basically, a rip off of.
Oh my goodness. So 2 events wrapped up. We're gonna let Vila leave here in a minute, but looking back on that whole entire thing, if it ever does come out, I mean, the guy had big hopes, like you said. He wanted to be on Netflix. I mean, I know he won his own Netflix show and thought this thing was going to be the greatest thing ever. But didn't we kind of learn from history a little bit, people? I mean, we saw this already done before in another big organization, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
They
had a lot more money too.
And it had a lot more money.
Yeah. Trevor, you found it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that the Phoenix Big Boat Bass was Easton Fothergill with only a 4 pound 3 ounce.
That makes sense. I mean, those lakes down there are absolutely hurting.
Okay.
So that's crazy.
You kind of wonder about dual threat, and you wonder about that. I know there's another tournament series starting up. This man does have the money. He has an organization. He's got a team already put together. He's a multi-billionaire, from what I've been told. Millions and millions, or millionaires.
Is his name Madoff?
No, it's not Madoff this time. He went to jail. Do you guys know, after watching this is crazy. I know tonight's just a fiasco here, but it's pretty awesome. So I was watching, I got this thing about solar energy. or something like that. It was a guy who started his own NASCAR team, and it ended up being a Ponzi scheme as well. He got all this money from the government, and he started like 2 NASCAR teams, and he sponsored his race.
I remember this.
Sponsored a race, and he had these solar panels that he would put out there for during races, and they run lights off of them, charge phones. You could do all this crazy stuff with it. And the deal was to, he'd have them at every single track, and that any disasters or whatever would happen. And he got all this money during that one time because, at that time, the Dems were passing out money for solar. And solar was this big, huge thing. And so you were getting all this money and grants and all this stuff. And the dude had billions of dollars. Well, our billions of dollars. And he was investing in it into his race team. And it ended up being a huge Ponzi scheme. Probably the biggest one to ever hit NASCAR, to be honest. Because I think he only, I don't know, Bass Geek, maybe 2 years or something like that. That's all it lasted. And then he went to prison.
I remember the cars that had the something energy, solar energy or something, whatever the name of the company was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
all right. So correction. Easton Fothergill got the big bass for the last day. You are right. Mike Iaconelli did get it on day 2 with a 5-pounder, 5 pounds, 3 ounces.
Okay.
So Ike in his last year on the tour.
Yep. So I mean, it was a heck of a daggone event. Before you let you leave, Martin, what do you think? If you look back on it now, and what do you think we're going to take away from this? What do you think we can kind of move forward? And I know you kind of brought up about new things happening, but young anglers out there, kind of like with this solar thing I watched, he hired a young racer and threw out all this money, and it should end up being fake. And this guy kind of did the same thing and kind of put the big cherry and the big apple out there and say, hey, come fish with me and I'm going to give you money. And it ended up being fake.
Yeah, it shows you if you dang a little jingle out there, will come to try to grab. But I definitely you made a lot of bass fishermen a lot more cautious. I'm hoping there's been a few trails over the past few years. The past few years, there's been a few trails that have kind of had the same thing where checks didn't go through. So, but every year, you wise up a few more anglers. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hopefully they catch the guy.
I hope so as well. Really, really do. Vila, appreciate you coming on. Thank you. We'd like to get you back on again here in the future. Y'all. And we'll hopefully this thing will take care of itself, by the way. Because I tell you one thing, I know some anglers looking for him. If they find him, he might end up in the river down there. It's a lot of rivers down in Florida.
I can tell you right now, did you Matt Robertson's his that karate kick he got to that seagull? I wouldn't want Matt Robertson chasing me.
No freaking way. Vila, appreciate you, and guys, we'll be right back.
Sir. Yep. Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy, man.
See you, boss.
All right. So, I don't know, guys. There's, I don't want to say it's wrong because I'm afraid I am. It just shows how gullible sometimes we are when there's money. It really is. I mean, this guy had there was nobody checked anything out. There was he came out the logo that, hell, we could have done it on AI, Bass Geek. And wrote up the paperwork that he could have copied and pasted from the basscast.com to sign a release. And some of the best names in all of bass fishing were there.
I think it just shows the state of professional and tournament fishing in general. And I think it goes back to the lie that has been sold for years on years that tournament fishing sells is the fact of you can fish for a living. You can fish for a living. Come be a pro. Anybody, the average Joe can be a pro. Come on, let's do it. And in the end, that's really a total lie. It's a total lie that the average Joe could ever or could have ever been a professional bass angler.
Yeah, I agree with Geek. I mean, when we started this episode, and you said Ponzi scheme. I didn't know if there was a specific tour, or you're just talking about bass fishing in general. Like, I mean, it's all a Ponzi scheme. It's literally the only thing there is where the casino has paid spokespeople that are the top tier gamblers to tell everyone else to come on into the MGM and roll the dice. I don't know. I think it's weird because when stuff like this happens in life and people get bamboozled and did, it's always weird when you read about that on Facebook, social media news. You're like, but that won't happen to me. And then it does happen to you. And it's such a weird, they feed off of desperation. 99% of the time that when they are able to get their teeth into you, it's usually because of desperation, unless it is like a Bernie Madoff kind of thing where they just are like at the nth tier of deception. But you're dealing with like sociopaths at that point that are really trying to get you. You just got to do your due diligence about that. And just really, does it pass the ick test? But a lot of these guys, or at least what I've read, the money was too good. And I think that really dropped people's judgment when it came to entering into something like this. So just cover your bases, man.
Yeah.
I mean, was it $100,000 for the winner? Is that what it was?
100K.
100K to the winner. So, I mean, and you figure, heck, a couple of days in Florida practicing, maybe $1,500 a person, take home 100K, and I got no entry fee. Because originally, there was an entry fee, and I don't think they were getting the participation they wanted because, there's so many other trails out there that you can fish. So they went ahead and dropped the entry fee, and then a lot of people signed up. It just seems really bad when this is the year, the Major League Fishing, they cut back the number of anglers. So there's a lot of anglers out there still wanting to fish. A lot of anglers that were older guys. I don't want to say real old, but older guys who didn't want to go back through the Bassmaster Opens and have to work their way up and then fight with the 19-year-old kids who are hammers, by the way. We've seen that here on the show. Or they could go over to the NPFL and, have a chance there. And then this guy shows up and says, hey, come fish with me for 100K and you ain't got to pay nothing. And I don't know I can't remember what the entry fee is for the NPFL. Is it 5,000? I want to say 6, something like that for NPFL. Don't quote me, guys. You can look it up yourself because it's getting ready to start. It'll be the weekend after the show drops, by the way, their first event. So I'm excited to watch that. But it got a time when a lot of people, like you were saying, Thomas, were gullible because, hey, I don't want to go back through all this crap again. Hey, I can still fish and make some money.
And it's going to get worse because whether, depending on how you want to argue it, we are getting close to recessionary things when it comes to many parts of the industry. And fishing is showing that with the consolidation that you're seeing with what the BPT did. You have so many people at the dog bowl to try to make a living at this, but this is not like the NFL. It's 100% about sponsorships. And if they contract, everyone else has to contract. And that's what we're seeing. And I think you have a lot of people that, for lack of a better term, didn't have backup plans in case fishing didn't work out. They were 100% in for so long. Like you see so many white collar guys that have been doing it for 30 years getting their careers nuked. And they have to have that realization that I have to start over. And it sucks. Trust me, it really sucks. But that's what we're seeing right now happening in the industry.
So,
and we've talked about this 100 times. I think it's the perfect storm. I think, bass fishing is trying to become a professional sport, hence the high school, hence the college. You get the funnel of those young athletes in, and really you have to kind of cut the cord of the old school way of thinking. And we're in that turnover. Then all of a sudden you get the economy, you get the COVID and all that. So it's like we always say, the Daytona 500 run this weekend, 43 cars are in that. That's how many qualify. The God's honest truth is, the only reason there's so many players in football, there's 52 plus practice squads, is because it's a brutal sport and they only play 14 games as compared to everything else. if you're going to change the league, it has to be set up just like all the other pro sports, and that's what they're doing. And you're seeing these older everyday guys get cut out who might have had a local sponsor or accidentally rubbed shoulders with a good sponsor who they don't have it. And now, like you said, since there's then on top of that all the social media people, we're all competing for the same dollars.
Yeah.
And in the end, companies that there's a lot of companies out there. Listen, I've dealt with a lot of companies who are still very old school, and they want to do things that, the old school way, but more and more are really starting to learn that there's other ways, that it's really about sponsorship is about selling products.
And I think as it gets harder to sell products to the general consumer, those companies specifically are going to have a come to Jesus moment of like, do we do it the old school way and we just bleed to death, or do we make the hard decisions? And that'll be interesting because that will cut down on individuals. Because again, this is where it comes down to: is it a pro sport if it's more important that you have a sponsor? Same thing with a content creator. Is it about having good content or having the backer? I mean, in theory, you could have a guy that just knows somebody who works at a bank and says, like, yeah, I'll be your primary sponsor for $3,000 a year. I'm a content creator. I mean, in theory, like that's where we're going. And that's, everyone will have opinions about that, but does that make it a true sport, or is it NASCAR? I'm leaning it's more towards NASCAR.
Well, but I mean, that's every sport. It's baseball, it's basketball.
Well, no.
Well, it is, but you're come on, man. You can't say that bigger schools don't have, the dollars, the parents who.
If you throw 110, you're getting signed. It doesn't matter if you're in India.
Yeah, but still, there's still going to be good, good anglers out there who are going to perform well at the high school and college level that are going to get there.
But the win rate, so if you want to go with a quarterback rating or the whip or your ERA, you're always going to have a winning percentage that's above failure. That is not fishing, it is gambling. And so even the best poker player will lose more than he wins, and then you can quantitate that and stuff. But the whole point there is, so you need the financial money to be able to hit the opens for however many years till you have that hell of a season so you can make it in. If you're talking about pure sports like the NFL, like baseball,
I think
basketball,
that's where it's going to change. Though I think eventually the college system will be the feeder and replace the Opens and the Toyotas and that sort of stuff. And again, I mean, we go back. You're right. It's going to have to consolidate. Are you a true sport if you've got 3 professional leagues?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You got 4. I mean, the Tackle Warehouse is the 4th. Come on. I mean, not everybody can be a pro, and I think that dream by most anglers needs to come to be realized.
So that company I was talking about earlier was called DC Solar. I had to look it up, and it was a big Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
And the guy did all the solar panels. I mean, I'm not saying his product wasn't real. It actually did work, which, we've seen that in a truck or something this past year that didn't really work, and he sold that and got all his freaking money. But it really does kill you when we are in a time when we are in professional bass fishing, and people are trying to make a living at it and still want to participate in it, and then something like this happens. It really does freaking suck. So go ahead, Trevor.
I was gonna say it's happened in the kayak world already many times. So us kayak fishermen, we look at the other pieces like, oh, this is your first rodeo, huh? So
I think we're at a pivotal time, though. I think
we really are.
Leagues and what just happened here, I really think it's just setting up to where a lot of it collapses, and who will be the one standing. And I think we know who's got the most money to be able to stand there.
We brought this up in during COVID. We saw the tackle industry as a whole, guys, get kind of bought out, and that kind of get gobbled up. And it's just like you guys know I got back into sports cards, and at one time back in the sports card industry, there was 100 different makers of sports cards, and then it collapsed right back down to the major 4. we're kind of looking like that in tournament fishing right now and the tackle industry. Go ahead, Thomas.
I was gonna make sure I got my stats right before I tried to spew NFL spats. So I'm gonna say what was a good QB rating. So I'm baseball, but I know Hank is not baseball, so I'm not gonna throw baseball
I'm a
stats at you.
baseball
But
fan.
okay, well
I
look,
played
I just
baseball, I played football.
You guys are awesome.
I just use the old Google for like a good passer rating, which is below 70 is poor, above is good. So let's just say 100, it will be elite. So if 100 is elite, how do you quantitate success when it comes to skill sets in fishing? Because baseball wise, I know the skill set to where I can say whether the kid has rich parents or poor parents, he has a chance to be found because he brings value to an organization. What are those stats in fishing? Like, and this is we don't have to solve this tonight, but I don't think a lot of people have ever done that before because that doesn't seem like it exists to where you can analyze a high school kid or a college kid and say like, yeah, his stats mean he's going to be successful. If those stats don't exist, therefore it is not a sport. If you can find quantitative metrics so you can scout talent to put money into, that makes sense. But if it's more about your social media and how good you are on camera versus your skill set, I mean, we know a lot of people in football and stuff. I mean, yeah, they're fantastic football players. They've run over 2 or 3 hookers on a Saturday night, but they're great at catching the ball in the fourth quarter. So it's fascinating to me because I feel like it's getting worse. That Overton window keeps going in the wrong direction when it comes to this. The only saving grace, in my opinion, is the consolidation because it's going to be a gut check. And this is what Scope did. When all these people that were the old guard, all of a sudden, like, oh crap, I could get cut from the elites. I actually have to work and do better. I can't just do this, this, and that. And if you start seeing more consolidation in the cut line, that's really going to put a fire under these people that, yeah, once you get in, you have to stay. It's not just you're in for the next 30 years and you can just bang around and be average.
You know, there's an old saying in football that says, you know, football doesn't reveal or it doesn't build character; it reveals character.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
yeah,
it's a common misconception.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Scope, if you pay close attention to the characters, technology doesn't reveal talent; it magnifies it. And
Yes.
so, you know, when you see a lot of people out there riding, you know, and we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of good anglers, not arguing that fact. And we see this common thread. How many times have we seen it when we've seen Greg Hackney first come in? How many tournaments has he won since then? When we've seen Gerald Swindell, who's, by the way, never won a blue trophy, but he does have 2. He's the Matt Kins
Angler
of
Angler of the Year.
He's never won one, but he's won 2 seasonal championships. And, you know, you're right. Even, you know, as far as we'll go back to baseball, if KVD's win percentage was a batting average, he wouldn't have made it at a AAA ball, you know? So, you know, there's got to be you're right. There's got to be some quantitative, you know. I think we know what a good young angler looks like and what, you know, because they do stand out. They do put in more time. They do win at the lower levels.
It's fascinating. It really is. And baseball, again. Oh, go for it, Brian.
No, I kind of consider it like NASCAR, fan favorites. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, like you were saying earlier, Thomas, based on social media, you know, a lot of organizations and, you know, just different, you know, smaller events, you know, they expect you to have a good following, a good social media following, a good, you know, because you're bringing light to their organization. So and like you were saying earlier, we got now the Googans of the world that you're fighting against, YouTubers that are playing, you know, doing the Elite series. I mean, we saw, you know, a YouTuber a year or 2 ago that's no longer in the Elites now, but I mean, you know that. So, I mean,
and he said something that I think flew under the radar, and people aren't highlighting enough. It's like he lost money. fishing the elites.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that is something that is not talked about enough. That what other major sporting thing? I mean, for God's sakes, the baseball is going to go into another strike because they want to have the same GDP as Europe. Like that's what they want is their pay
Yeah,
salary.
it's crazy.
What other professional sport is it like? Yeah, I actually lose money doing this. And when he came out and said that, it's like, so what you're saying is being a YouTuber or being on TV is better than trying to be a professional in the classic. What are we doing here? And again, this is something else that no one likes to talk about because it's lame and boring. But $100,000 grand prize has been the same thing since the 2000s, early 2000s. It's 2026. Yeah, inflation has happened. That's not $100,000 anymore. So the prizes have been the same for close to 30 years, but the whole world has moved on past that. No
And
one's
Brian,
talking about
you know,
that.
Brian Latimer brought it up in his one of his shows
Yeah.
that I watched. Things last year, he talked about it pretty heavily about, guys, the entry fees haven't gone up. I mean, nothing's really changed in like the last 10 years. So why are you guys expecting a bigger payout? I mean, nothing's changed at all.
I got interviewed on another podcast on Monday, and we talked about, pros and YouTube. Talked a lot about, YouTube and the transition, for me. And there's really no way to make it in either one if you don't have sponsors. I mean, you're not going to fish for a living if you don't have sponsors, period. It's end of story. And, in the fishing industry, even if you do the math for, right now, which they've dropped off significantly. If you do the math for somebody like Tactical Bassin right now, when their views have dropped to a percentage of what they were when they were growing at an extreme rate. They're making a third in ad revenue of what they were making. And it's really not because the ad rates have went down over the years. It's because their views have stagnated. They're so big, they're still getting 5% of whatever their, subscriber rate is. But now, all that being said, let's also say this. There's a whole lot of pros talking about building their brand new, big, fancy barn dominiums who ain't never won a damn thing. and got their big, nice bass caves and buying their 10 acres of land. So there's some money some damn where out there. I just want to know where it's coming from.
You're right. I mean, we've seen, for you guys that follow a lot of these big name anglers on Instagram and all these other social media.
I don't want to name names, but I know guys who ain't even pros who fish who are, they got. And it's not fads, man.
It's a problem for the health of the sport because if you go from a purely corporate sense, the idea of getting hooked up with, I'm going to pick on Geek and say, Geek, yeah, I'm going to sign a 10-year contract, something preposterous because of what you have, your brand. It doesn't matter if you fish or if you win. Okay, cool. That might be the best corporate decision. But if you do that and then the next person that comes up there and let's say wins the classic or does something else, and he has no opportunity because corporate, we've already signed our contracts with the Geeks or the Edwin Evers of the world. So there's no money left over. Over time, that's going to depreciate the sport because, again, once it becomes common knowledge, and again, once perspective becomes reality, you can't change it. And if people are like, yeah, don't even try for bass, it's not worth it. It's just a scam. You're not going to make any money at it. Once that gets set in, you're screwed because to culturally change that will take so long, the sport will be dead. And so they have to pick, if it's going to be run by corporations, which it is, they need to figure out if they want this to be a sport, you have to make it more performance-based than anything else and start axing these people. Or you're going to have short-term gratification, but long-term, you're going to kill the sport.
But I think that is why you're seeing the steps taken today.
Yeah.
We put the high school and the college feeder system in. We've not moved away from the opens and, still have to go through and qualify. I think you're going to see that change coming. and you're seeing smaller fields. Smaller fields, like what MLF is doing, now means that you can have a better winning percentage. It also means you can have more of the Gerald Swindales of the world, who's good enough to be there, to stand out in a smaller field. It also means that once we see the collapse in the consolidation, because I have no doubts we're going to see a collapse of the upper three now, 4 professional leagues into one, that number's not going to change. We're not all of a sudden going to see 150 pros in one league again. I just don't believe that's going to happen. And I think Bassmaster is getting there with the Fox deal, and if they can work that out, and if it turns out well, I think you'll see them go back to eliminating payouts, and I think they'll eventually make the field smaller. But we are also seeing them train these young kids. I think everybody, we could talk about scopers last week, but the God's honest truth is, how as a pro did you get blindsided by that? Because you're just simply being lazy, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about being lazy and going to shows. I'm talking about being on the water, period. You're being lazy. You're not doing your research. You missed it. All you old dudes missed it. Now, we talk about these young kids. Is it just scope that's making them good? Or is it that now they've spent 4 years in college fishing the same exact place? We rotate every single year on every pro league.
I was just saying the lakes are all the same.
They have designed and built the future of bass fishing. It's already, the groundwork's laid out there.
I mean, that's the other
apocalypse. They start at high school. It's not just college. You're talking now they're starting in high school. So you got 8 years before you even try to get into the open.
300 boat tournaments for high schoolers.
Oh, they're huge. Huge. And so these guys spend, and plus again, they're younger guys. They don't have families. They don't have kids. Nope. They haven't been in the sport a while. So what do? They're on the water 360 days a year. I heard one guy talking about, like, he spends 50 something days he spent on the water 1 year. Like, the only days he didn't go out was like Christmas and New Year's. Like,
they hang out and travel to each other's houses. And they'll go up to New York and fish for 2 weeks. They'll go down to Texas and fish for 2 weeks. They'll go hang out with Rob in, South Carolina.
It does create, though, a problem. And then again, Mr. Pessimism here, but if you are doing that because the sport has dictated you have to, you will wake up at 32. What do you do then? Because you can crash on your buddy's couch at 19, 20, 22. But there are more and more horror stories you're hearing of these guys that have maxed out every credit card. They don't have a career. They've been sleeping on a couch. Maybe they want to start a family and they're screwed. And I think, again, maybe you could be right because you just have this massive grassroots you've created. But if of that grassroots, 3 to 4% create these horror stories, and then next year you get another 2%, that becomes the stigma that comes out there. Because the thing is, if you have all these people that went through high school to college, and they do become broke and then they have kids, they're not telling their kids to do the exact same thing. And so I do think they have a 20, 30-year problem down the road with that. Or
I think too,
it just goes kayaks.
Well, but if you look at the college side, how many college, because Geek likes football and I do too, how many college football players are there? We're saying before they got paid. We're going back, a couple of years. Before they got paid, how many football players? Because I do this to my kids all the time in high school. They come in, I'm going to be a pro football player. I'm like, all right, let's sit down and look at the statistics. What is the likelihood of you getting to that point where you're going to make it and they're going to draft you in the NFL? So, and I think that's what we have to look at with the fishing side too, is when you're fishing, somebody's got to talk to them. And this is where the coaches in the collegiate level really need to get there, because if you're not winning and you're just fishing those tournaments and you're not coming out as a collegiate winner, your chances of making it are slim. And then you're going to get to what you said, Thomas, where You're maxing out your credit cards. You're chasing a dream that you couldn't even succeed with at this low level. How are you going to do it at the higher level?
I 100% agree. So we all agree it's based on analytics, because you sit down with your kid and you're like, all right, Stefan, you're 6'8" and you can jump over a Mercedes. I have a hankering that you might get a look for basketball. I don't know what it is, but I know. But there are analytics that you can put in place to where I mean, they know, they've done it so good for like hockey in Canada. They know based on your birth date whether you'll make it to the NHL or at least into college on where it is with Pee Wee.
Yeah, but once the money is there, I mean, look, we can already tell what kids coming out of college. I mean, we knew most of these kids that were coming out of college. The two kids, me and Brian had the two kids that won the Bass $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Open, by the way, we had them on the show. You know, they were college anglers.
Yep.
You know they're coming. You know they're winning, because at that level, the kids that stand out are out competing. And if you're only looking for 5 kids, those 5 are going to stand out. Now, the pull to college is what the pull to college is, and I'm sorry to 90% of the white Americans, and I don't want to make it a race thing, but they ain't a few sports that us white boys are going to get a full ride for, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of colleges.
When you said 5, though,
job offer sent to me for a college in Kentucky to be a bass coach. So, you know, so the point I'm making is, you know, nobody's going to talk about the kids that don't make it because they got a free ride. And let me give you an example. How many places have you seen? And we're talking about FBS. We're talking about the top level. How many kids got left who jumped out in the transfer portal? And the transfer portal closed just the other day. Guess how many kids were still in the transfer portal? They left colleges where they could have played.
I didn't get to see that stat.
And most of
missed
them,
it. Yeah.
most of them probably won't play at all because nobody's talking about it. 1,200 just at the FBS level.
Wow.
Most of those will never play college football again because they made a poor decision. And you know, there's so I know there's always friendly fire. There's always the fringe that's going to get, but I just think I think bass fishing is going to consolidate, trim down, and it'll end up being the best thing for bass fishing.
Well, I mean, just running some
this kind of
stats real
leads.
quick. Oh, go for Trevor. Go, Trevor. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think this leads back into what we were talking about earlier with the Ponzi scheme and bass fishing. You have these kids coming out that, you know, they're in debt. They're trying to get through the opens because they're not plucking them right out of college. They still have to go through that open circuit. So they have this hope. And then these tournament trails come along, offer free entry fees, $100K to win. And of course, you know, like we talked about, it's not that they're gullible. It's just they're wanting a chance to get money to pay back what they put in and maybe get their name recognition and get out there. So again, you have some people that can prey on us poor bass fishermen that are hungry, and we're
in debt,
looking for something, in debt, and we're looking for something. And here comes that shiny carrot in front of you, and you know, you go after it, and then come to find out it's all a sham, and they took even more money from you.
Go ahead, Thomas.
No, I was just going to say, and again, this is like me off the cuff doing it, but there is, let's see, 90 players on an NFL roster. If you consider practice, the OG team, 32 teams. So that gives you, to be a professional football player, you got 90 times 32. So that's over 2,800 professional positions. College bass fishing last year, there was 610 colleges that had a bass fishing team that had 5 or more people on it. The Bassmaster Opens last year had over 225 people trying to compete there. And then the elites have less than that. Statistically, it is harder to be a professional bass fisherman than it is to try to get a look into the NFL or to play baseball, period.
I agree with that.
This is the stuff where it's like, when it's like, what, do not drink and do like this, a little label there. And that's what it needs with bass fishing. Because again, it's not a lot of spots compared to any other sport. Like, it is really not a lot of spots for you to become a professional and make bank. And so when Hank, you said earlier about like the best 5, that is a hell of a ratio to try to get yourself through there to be one of those
To
guys.
trim them down.
Yeah, and I get nervous about that. But I think what's going to happen personally, it's going to be regionalized. I think trying to have the best 100
Interesting.
is hard, but if you have the Texas region, you have, you know, Virginia, Maryland, you have North Carolina, there's a
Mhm.
lot of good sticks. And there's probably, I would say, 50 to 100, at least in my area, hardcore guys that will fish all over Virginia, probably 50 to 100 roughly. You could probably make a formula for Texas, is of course bigger, but if each state had their own kind of league like that, that could work. And then depending on how you did the next year, you could advance or whatnot. I think breaking it down that way, you could have a successful minor league
Well,
system,
That's pretty much the opens now.
which is kind of like
Yeah,
the
because it went
opens.
back to the regions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
the
you see it-
But everybody wants the national tour. And when
everyone
you only have 50 guys in a national tour,
everyone wants the national tour, but everyone
And
needs a
let's
regional
say-
tour.
well, let's say you got one league, 50 guys. Now you've taken money from 4 leagues. So if you're the college guys coming out, I mean, 5 guys are leaving. There's still going to be. You're not going to have, and you're not paying. We're talking future. So you're not paying entry fees. You're not. I mean, for 5 guys, I mean, who's not going to get a boat sponsor, right? I mean, it's going to be much easier for those touring pros to get paying sponsorship and a free boat and this and that, because again, you've got 50 guys. That's what I'm saying. I don't think at that point that we even need external sponsors as much.
It's fascinating because we talked about this with the NPFL, and you know, do we call him a professional league? Well, let's just say Patrick Walters just fishes the NPFL and he wins half the tournaments each year, and then he retires in Boca. I mean, technically, he's a professional angler if he's just winning every other tournament and he's making a living. So, I mean, I know we're getting really semantic with the whole
Yeah.
thing, but
we can talk about this for another
Yeah.
45 minutes, but we're gonna have to.
This could be a whole other show.
This could be a
A whole
whole
other
nother show, and we can bring a lot of things to light here. My opinion is on a professional angler is when the gamble becomes more than most people's GDP, you're a professional angler.
There you go.
When you're willing to put it all in, you're a professional angler. And that's my opinion. Like I said, we can talk about it for days. I kind of relate some of this stuff back to baseball. Like I said, me and Thomas were really itching. Pitchers are already reported. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. Pitchers and catchers are already there.
Pitchers and catchers.
Mhm.
But they talk about that in baseball all the time. When you look at a baseball card on the back, and Brian Carter got called up last week to play with the Mets, but he spent 10 years in the farm league.
Mm.
He might have another year. That's about it. I mean, there's
If
nothing
that.
else left. I mean, there is no investment here worth. He's a one-shotter. He's like that band that has that album. It might have one hit on it, and they play it 1,000,000 times on the radio. Go ahead, Thomas.
That's my final thought. Is I think where this will go is it'll be kind of like some of these interesting sports you see on ESPN2 on a Sunday, like darts or cornhole, because you'll say like, I'll have a career until my mid-30s when I have to get an adult job. And I think it'll get consolidated. And then you will have a couple of people that do break out and have a longer career, but it will be when you're young and you can do this at a cheap rate, and then you rotate out to do something else when you get
Yes.
older. I think that's how this can survive. But the idea of having these pros, every pro try to fish until you're, Jamie Moyer or Tim Wakefield, like the sport can't allow that, I think.
No. And my opinion is you have to qualify to be a pro.
I think you do too. I really do too. But I mean, but I do believe, like I said, that baseball analogy right there, something needs to be done about it. The sport, the health of the sport, and be like, Junior, you've entered the last 5 years of the Bassmaster Opens and you've never cashed a check.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you here. Don't sign up again. All right.
Hey, Johnny Morris could solve this problem if he'll just stop sponsoring both leagues.
Boom.
And move it into one.
Yep. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. But guys, appreciate Martin Vila coming on for a little bit and talking with us. We hope the gentleman gets caught. We hope things work out. We hope maybe somebody gets some of their money back. But you never know. I don't know. It's one of the things where, guys, I saw the writing on the wall, and I'm not even fishing it, and I would have been scared. So just make sure if something pops up and you want to fish it, please do your due diligence. I mean, please, anybody can bullshit the bullshitter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can read a book on bass fishing and know enough about bass fishing to BS your way through it and host a tournament and take people's money. And I'm not saying that's what he did. I don't know the gentleman whatsoever, but anybody can do that. And a lot of people fell for it. So please do your homework on everything. Please read your rules. And last but not least, always wear your life jacket. So here we go. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of Basscast Radio. I've reached out to a couple great guests. Hopefully have some big guests on here in the next couple of weeks. Thomas, Geek, Trevor, thank you as always. You guys have any parting words real quick before we roll? Anybody?
Don't trust
It's
a
pretty
random.
spontaneous. Yeah. If it looks too good to be true, it's probably not true.
Yep. They are 100%. Yeah. If it looks too good to be true, most of the time it is not true. Have a great week, everyone. Be safe.
See ya.